What is up, Earthnoids and Spacenoids? I am just a simple Newtype, and in this episode, we're returning to Igloo 603. Last time, we were introduced to Oliver and the 603rd Tactical Test Team. They were a part of the Battle of Loon, but learned that they weren't even a part of the operation and were left behind by mobile suits. The 603rd were introduced to Emma Reich and her Jim Camoufle team. She is burdened by a past love. This time, the 603rd does a false flag mission, and it doesn't go as planned. They head to Earth, where they test a new underwater beam rifle, and the Zuda rises to stardom before crashing and burning. So let's get into this. The Zuda and the Jim Camoufles, along with the new Gefänger Jim, will engage the Federation mobile suits that deployed. The Gefänger Jim, also known as the Captured Jim, is a stolen Jim that was appropriated by Xeon. Unlike the Jim Camoufles, these are more passable for false flag operations. Units not used for deceptive purposes are painted Xeon green. Weapons include 60mm Vulcans, a 120mm machine gun, a 120mm assault rifle, a 90mm machine gun, and a shield. Emma Reich will use the Camoufle with the long rifle. Oliver is still hesitant about these tactics. Everyone goes on standby. He focuses on the tech instead. It's lighter, which makes it more agile, that's for sure. But its ballistics resistance is inferior. It leaves the pilot so vulnerable. Emma refers to it as the mad mist of skull wings, ignoring Oliver's negativity. She says, "I don't know what you're thinking, but I like this mobile suit." We learn she is a Federation turncoat, which is crazy to begin with. The mobile suit is crazy, just like her. Plus, she wants to go out in style. Oliver's autism can't process this. A Federation ship is approaching the Jotunheim. It is a Salamis. Washia launches in the Zuda. Monique takes Oliver to the side and gives him a talking to. She tells him that people can make decisions for themselves. Everyone has their reasons. Who are you to say if that's the right call? The Jim Camoufles pretend that a Zuda is after them and call out to the Salamis. They ask to identify their platoon. Washia and the Zuda falls back. They don't identify themselves, so they send out Jims to intercept them. They thank the Jims for helping and finally identify themselves as the 102nd Company. The Jim pilot says, 102nd? That's Glenn's company. How the hell is good old Glenn? She says, yeah, he's good. The guys go, "How dare you use the captain's first name? These guys are Xeon." That is the weirdest honeypot. This guy is too informal. They must be Xeon. Well, it worked, and the Jims and Jim Camoufles begin fighting. As they fight, Lieutenant Emma says, "Hey man, I'm not with Xeon. I just used them to run away." The turncoat once again went turncoat after she said not to trust her. Who would have thought? Oliver is in the observational shuttle, which has a 30mm Gatling gun. Monique tells him to fire, but he hesitates. Washia is taking out the Jims. While everyone is panicking, Lieutenant Emma moves in and destroys the Salamis-class ship. She was bluffing and ordered to get closer to the ship. She had everyone panicking for a few moments. "You almost got shot there. Huh. Then suddenly, her fake Jim is hit. She is killed instantly. It is the 138th Company. They contact the Jotunheim and say, "Hey man, we saw you struggling with that gem, so we came to help out." All they could really say to them is thanks. They just ran into an edge case with false flag operations. It only works when other companies are informed of the situation. Talk about dramatic irony. Even though Lieutenant Emma Reich is now dead, Oliver writes in his report that the test was a success. The enemy does indeed tend to misidentify the fake gems for real gems. Every test in this series ends with a sense of ennui. The 603rd is on Earth, and Oliver is rocking some sweet Quattro shades. He is mesmerized by the sky over the ocean. Then suddenly, seasickness strikes. They are testing the Aegir. The QEX-04M Agear is an underwater prototype beam weapon made by the Principality of Xeon. Beam particles bump into water molecules when fired, causing the rounds to explode in the chamber, or it is too weak and it just dissipates. This uses decelerated plasma to prevent this problem. This has an average firing range of 2,000 meters. This can't function without the Zaku Marine type, even though it has its own power supply. Commander Shocked refers to this as a lion-shrimp hybrid. Oliver is acting overly cautious. He is reading everything he can about the sea. Washia gives him a charm and says, "You don't need knowledge. You need Kami-sama in your life." Oliver meets Captain Dulu of the Volkischer, the vessel they are currently on. He seems to be honored that his dilapidated ship is of value to Xeon. Oliver gets seasick mid-conversation. Gunther Roseman teases him for not having his sea legs yet. He is the Zaku Marine pilot that will be firing the Aegir. Oliver asks how he got that injury. He says that a woman hit him with a frying pan and then just leaves. So many questions. Oliver later explains the mission. He first explains how water molecules and Minovsky particles make things go boom. Then he goes into a technical rant about the deceleration process. The captain says, hey man, maybe dumb it down a little bit. Gunther and his Marine Zaku head underwater and dock with the Aegir. The Volkischer gets some distance from the weapon. They count down while doing systems checks. 3, 2, 1. They fire, but it doesn't work and it explodes. The Volkischer goes rocking from the waves. They found the cause, and it was due to corrosion. Water got in and it prevented the deceleration process. Gunther spends his time in a Zaku Marine mainly as a minesweeper or laying cable underwater. He thinks that the Zaku Marine is special, and this will prove that he is right. It is to avenge someone in his life. Oliver asks, friend or foe, but Gunther says don't worry about it. As they begin the second test, something approaches them. The captain tells Gunther it's them. Fisheyes approach. Check out our Johnny Ryden coverage for a breakdown of this version of the ball. He says these are the people who killed his comrades. Gunther focuses on the mermaid logo. He flashes back to a mission. He and his comrades are infiltrating a Federation freighter, but it was a trap set by fisheye balls with the mermaid logo. They fired on their own people in order to take out Gunther's comrades. Only 3 survived, 1 being Gunther. Captain Dueler tells this story to Oliver. He realizes this is where his head wound really came from. The fisheyes attack and damage the sub-generator pack. Gunther detaches the Aegir and fights, ignoring Oliver's plea to run away. If there are balls, then there's probably a sub nearby. They probably detected the Aegir making noise and cut their engines to sneak up close without tipping sonar systems. The sub fires 3 torpedoes. Gunther punches one ball and kicks the other. He is badly beaten, but continues the test. The Zaku dodges 1 torpedo, but is knocked back by the shockwave. Oliver tells Gunther to eject the Aegir and bail on the test, but he needs this to avenge his comrades. Oliver tells him it is damaged and firing it in this state might cause it to explode. But he doesn't give a damn. He just wants to avenge his team. The captain tells him to do it. Oliver is thinking to himself, man, so much emotion is being thrown around. None of this was taught in officer training school. The Volkischer provides data for the nearby sub. Gunther takes aim and fires. He gets a direct hit, but the Aegir explodes, taking out Gunther. His final words are telling his dead comrades that he did it. The shockwave causes the ship to tip, and Oliver falls to the water. In his report, Oliver says that the weapon is effective, though it lacks any form of agility while underwater. They need to make it lighter. It is currently August of UC 0079. Xionic's MS-05 Zaku and Zimad's EMS-04 Zuda are unable to keep up with the EMS-10 Zuda, piloted by Major Jean-Luc Duval. He has been championing the Zuda over the Zaku since its inception. Duval reaches the maximum output as he blazes through space. The 603rd is very impressed. He was also a former test pilot for Zimad. Washia asks if it is true that one blew up mid-flight. Duval says it is true for the EMS-04 Zuda, but certainly the EMS-10 won't have this problem. Well, you just solidified your fate with that statement. The Major lost one of his subordinates during that test, and it seems to haunt him. We flash back to the incident. On top of losing his friend, he learns that the YMS-04 Zaku wasn't chosen, and isn't going to be a priority anymore. Remember, Zimad and Xionic competed for Zaku mass production. We see here, though, that they kinda just gave up. Duval blames Xionic for placing political pressure on the Federation and claims he will not stop, or else his comrade, Franz, died in vain. His chief tells him that the ZWPA wants to talk to him. This is the Zeon War Establishment Propaganda Association. It is essentially Zeon's state-run news network. They want to interview Duval and the Jotunheim team. They begin Zuda testing. It could reach 8 Gs during acceleration. They suddenly get a distress signal from the 42nd Ball Fleet nearby. The Zudas will head out, but they only have dummy rounds. Duval says trust in the Zuda. The Zudas move into action. The balls laugh at them in their dummy rounds. However, their speed spooks them, and they and their Salamis mothership retreat. The team watches the news talk about the Zuda. The captain says, hey, my interview was cut. Commander Schacht informs Oliver of the push towards Odessa, and how Zeon may soon lose Earth's superiority. He also shows him top-secret footage of Side 7. He shows Oliver footage of the Gundam. The 603rd begins test number 2 with the Zuda. During the past 3 chapters, Duval tells Washia and the Red Shirt not to try to keep up with him. They aren't ready. Like the anime, during this test, the Red Shirt tries to keep up with Duval, and in the process, the Zuda is torn apart. Back on the ship, Washia cries and blames himself. Also, like the anime, Oliver is starting to realize that there is really no difference between the EMS-04 and the EMS-10. They are called to the bridge where the Federation broadcasts a video making fun of the Zuda and calling it nothing but a sheep in wolf's clothing. The message also claims that Xi'an has fallen at Odessa. Monique doesn't believe it. They then get an urgent message calling all Xi'an ships to help around the Earth sphere, solidifying Xi'an's fall at Odessa is true. The Jotunheim set sail towards Earth. And that will do it for this episode. We get an extended version of Duval's story as the anime only begins around the original Xi'an broadcast. Duval certainly has tunnel vision when it comes to the Zuda, as he is too attached. Many Xi'an soldiers put their heart and souls into their machines, and ultimately it leads them astray. This is such a fascinating story because it's about technical excellence at the expense of one's humanity. There is a lot of nuance here. Next time, we conclude Igloo 603. The Jotunheim tries to save those who are fleeing from Odessa. Duval takes the Zuda out for one last ride, and they test out a high-speed propulsion system called the Balor. Balor? I'll figure it out. But that will do it for now, Newtypes. Remember, don't get too attached to your machine during wartime. Peace.